Okay, Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, Lviv, Ukraine. I'm going to do two videos today on two different topics. I decided I'm still trying to do more shorter videos, more videos that are shorter in length instead of these big long ones. I think the YouTube algorithm likes that better. So, yeah, we're back here in Lviv. Also I don't get to record so often. The baby is 18 months, so very active. So 18 months till 3 years. Now, it's just another level of running after them. And, now she's down for a nap. And we have to keep the naps short, otherwise she's up all night. It's hard to get her asleep. Sometimes it goes as late as 11, so we keep the naps now to an hour and a half, and get a little free time, just a little. Normally, sometimes I'm catching up sleep on the free time. But yeah, we have to start instilling routines and disciplines so we don't get all these Peter Pan children or whatever, these overgrown adult children, that we're used to always having their way. And, all this stuff starts very early. Let me see, I go down this way into the sun, or maybe, yeah, this way into the woods. I'll just have to tilt the camera so the sun is not coming straight into it. Yeah, there we are. But, yeah, just following the tracks as usual. Can't do that in Europe. But I want to talk about the three things I miss about Belgium. So, we've been back a few weeks, and there are three distinct things. Like I said, Belgium wasn't for us. The French language, the area we were living in wasn't that great. It wasn't very conducive for children. All the, youth smoking weed everywhere all the time. Cops don't do anything. But there were some good points. Undeniably good points about Belgium. The first one I have to say is the medical system. Even given its shortcomings, we were able to get appointments. It's a fairly good and competent system. I mean, it's overloaded. You can definitely tell that they ingested too many people too quickly, and they can't keep up with the demand. Now, here in Ukraine, you can get doctor appointments. The doctors are nice. They'll talk to you for as long as you want, hours and hours. But they don't have any medicine, and they really don't know anything. I mean, medical education here is not up to the European standard. I mean, you can just tell a lot of the doctors are still like 23, 24 years old. Whereas in America or Europe, they're in their mid-30s. By the time they're like fully tenured and ready to practice on their own without supervision. So, that's a big difference. The medical system there, I mean, we had one time had to make a hospital visit, but luckily it turned out to be nothing serious. But there was only one pediatrician, on call, and we ended up leaving after 3 hours in Belgium. So I can't say it's perfect there, but it's definitely better than here. I mean, here we'll get the emergency room, but they'll just tell us they can't do anything. There you'll wait and wait and wait, but I'm sure if it was like something serious, they might have found a way or gotten someone on call. So they did do a triage, I have to admit, in Belgium. And, our baby was like crying and screaming and wouldn't stop, and we didn't know. But the paramedic who picked us up in Belgium even said, like, if the baby is crying, it's okay. Then everything is okay. Because it takes a lot of strength and energy to cry. It's when they're not crying and not making any sounds, when everything goes quiet, that's when you got to worry. So a lot of parenting is counterintuitive. So it's an overloaded system there, but it's mostly working. Definitely better than in Ukraine. Not as good as Norway, not as good as America. But in America, you're going to pay, unless you're properly insured. I mean, and you can get properly insured in America with a good job. I mean, in my situation, with the type of jobs I work and everything, that would be a non-issue. I would be covered, and we would have seen the doctor, and the $5,000 bill would have been mostly paid by insurance. I probably would have had to cough up $1,000. I mean, that's what that experience. And in Belgium, I just had to pay the ambulance fee like 70 euros or something. It was really, that's it. And the medicines for the baby, we got like the EpiPen, which thank God she doesn't need anymore. Now the EpiPen is $600 in America. In Europe, I got it for like 60 euros. And then we got a second EpiPen because they have an EpiPen shortage, obviously. There are medicine shortages in Europe. They couldn't give us a second one. They could only give one at a time. So we got the second one in England for 160 pounds, which is about half the price of the US, a little less than half. So, yeah, and then in Ukraine, they don't even have the EpiPen. It's not even available here. It's not in the system. But the doctor will tell you nicely and in Ukrainian language and all this stuff that they don't have anything. You know, that they can't get anything. You know, so yeah, that's the first thing I miss about Belgium. The second thing I miss about Belgium is the food. The grocery market or the grocery store food is really good, especially that Brussels market I showed you, I think, a few times in some Belgian videos, the one owned by the Arab family. They had I don't know, they had an amazing ability to do procurement, buy fresh fruits and vegetables, they had a butcher shop that had fresh meat every day. I mean, I saw the, you know, animals coming out of the truck. I guess it was a halal butcher, so it has to be like butchered and sold in the same day. So I saw the big meat carcasses in the truck every morning, and they were taking that out, and there was like a father and a son. It was like a store within a store, and I think that was family owned because it looked like a father and son. They would chop up that animal and package it, you know, not package it, but have it in the window, and we could go every morning and get fresh meat. These Arab stores, man, I wish they had these in Ukraine. I mean, like I said, Ukraine has to figure out an immigration strategy because anyway, the demographics are collapsing where they can get the productive immigrants, the ones that are entrepreneurial and are looking for a better life and looking to use their own hands, not just get benefits. I mean, this was like a Moroccan family or 2 or 3 Moroccan families that owned this supermarket. It was better than the commercial ones like Carrefour and Proxy and all of that. I really miss this Brussels market. And everything was cheap. The food in there was cheaper than here in Ukraine. I don't know how the hell they did it, but you know, one of the things I use to gauge prices is a product called Ritter Sport. It's a German chocolate. So these things are like 3 or 4 euros even here in Ukraine. You know, I mean, there's one store owned by my neighbor Rockman. He's from Afghanistan, and that's the closest thing to an Arab store we have here. He gets them for like €1.50. But in that Brussels market, they were 90 cents, like less than €1. I don't know how the hell they did it. And it was like the good ones too. It wasn't like some crazy flavor. I mean, these were like the good Ritter Sports, like the good flavors and everything. And all the Milka products, the cookies, and then the meat and the fruits and the vegetables, all that stuff was like much cheaper than even here in Ukraine. I mean, that is one thing I really miss about Brussels is the cheap and fresh groceries, much higher quality. I mean, it was on the same quality as you get in Norway, which is saying a lot. I mean, the Norwegian groceries, the food in the Norwegian supermarkets is like top tier, you know, and if it's spoiled or bad, they take it back without question and let you trade. But the thing is, it costs an arm and a leg, you know. And in Norway, they only have like, I think, one of these Arab stores, and it's in Groenland. And it's not some hidden secret or a hole in the wall. It's pretty mainstream. Everyone knows about it. It's always packed. It's always crowded. And I don't know how much you really save going to Groenland. I guess if you buy in bulk, like big bags of rice and lots of beans and all this. But meat's going to still get you in Norway. But in Belgium, yeah, if you go to, like I said, if you're in Schaerbeek or central Brussels, you're going to save a lot of money on food. I do miss that. And the last thing I miss is that, you know, despite the administration being a bunch of a-holes, you know, the Brussels administration and everything, overall, people were pretty helpful, pretty nice. We met a lot of nice people. I mean, I had one neighbor from Germany. She even tried to help me get a job in Daimler, you know, as we couldn't agree on the salary. You know, to be head of IT for Belgium. I mean, that's one of the other big downsides about Belgium. You need to go there with a lot of your own money because the jobs aren't going to pay. You know, it's very low paid there. You know, but I don't know, if I if I end up with $10 million one day, I would seriously consider maybe living in the Flemish region or something, because I heard those Arab stores are there. I would consider that. You know, and they have private schools and stuff like this, you know, fairly decent ones from what I understand. I mean, there are Belgian kids getting into Harvard and everything, so most of them went to private school. So yeah, so those are the three things I miss: the medical system, I miss the food, and then just generally the nice people. You know, I mean, we do have nice people here in Ukraine, but you know, everyone here is like stressed out and wigged out about the war and stuff, and they don't speak English. I mean, most people outside the government in Belgium, like the native Belgian people or the skilled immigrants, you know, the people I would hang out with, they speak English. I mean, people who weren't speaking English were a lot of those immigrants in the park smoking weed, or, you know, you know, peeing everywhere and that. Yeah, that was kind of disturbing. I mean, you know, yeah. But like I said, the big downside to Belgium, like the administration thing will pass, right? You do all this French language thing and play all these paperwork games. That stuff passes in 6 months, and then you got your bank account, you're getting paid, you know, but it's just the salaries are low, you know, and it's very hard to move up and get a job until you learn French, and that takes like 5 years to learn office French, you know, not like just bonjour and c'est la vie and, you know, au revoir and all this stuff, but like how to like give a PowerPoint presentation on a conference call in French, and how to be able to ingest all the comments, you know, and not have to translate in your head or go through recordings and play everything back 10 times. That takes like 5 years. So, I mean, if you're like a young guy, I have one friend over there. He was very helpful, he and his wife, extremely helpful, very nice. Happy we met him. And he's, I told him, you know, he's like in his early 20s, young enough to be my son. I told him, invest everything into staying there. You know, kick ass at your job, get this language down and everything, because long term it's not that bad, you know. I mean, Europe has its problems and everything, but if you're going to be anywhere in Europe outside of Scandinavia, you know, and you already know the language and are in a good IT job, you're in a good situation. There's a huge shortage of IT people in Belgium because of the language barrier. So if you can get through the language barrier, suddenly there's like 10 jobs for every person, you know, if you're French speaking in IT, and they're well paid, and the salaries go up pretty fast, you know, especially after you get your permanent residency. The thing is, you got to get out of this like bonded slavery thing, you know, where you're just like on a work visa and companies got you by the balls. You got to get out of that and get your permanent residency and get your citizenship. And once you got that, and once you're fluent in French, you know, and you're working like in SAP technology or Amazon, or, you know, you're, you know, building machine learning, or, you know, working with, you know, whatever, just banking, finance, IT stuff, just boring stuff, moving data around, making reports. That stuff pays a lot. You know, that, you can earn a U.S. salary there if you're French speaking, you know, and like I said, it's 30 years, you know, I'm 54 going on 55. It's just, I've already learned 2 languages, you know, Swedish and Norwegian, and my Swedish has degraded a lot. You know, my Norwegian is still sort of there, but, you know, you got to be in it, you got to be around it every day. You know, it just taken a lot of effort. It would have been a very long journey. But anyway, I'm going to go and order some steaks here at a really good Ukrainian restaurant that makes really good steaks. I'm going to order up some, you know, it's like a Sunday thing. And then, yeah, and then we will do another video. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.